Where's my slide? All right. So this is an informative speech on how to survive without electricity. Now, there's two different scenarios for this. This can be like a long-term thing or a short-term thing. Say like short-term would be if you get stranded somewhere for some reason and you just need a couple of days to survive. And these are just quick tips that you can keep in mind. Long-term would be like if the global situation changes and electricity becomes obsolete, then these are some tips that will also apply to that. So, to understand how difficult this would be, you got to think about the fact that um, how much we actually drive our cars and for transportation and like other things like lighting and cooking and stuff. So, in terms of transportation, in 2017, the Bureau of Transportation Statistics reported that the average driver drives 29 miles a day. If electricity were to become obsolete, you wouldn't be driving those 29 miles. You'd have to resort to alternative forms of transportation. So, surviving without electricity would require significant adjustment to your lifestyle for lighting, cooking, and transportation. So, what are some alternative forms of lighting? You really only have two options. When you don't have electricity available, you're going to try to get everything done during the day because you're going to use you're going to take advantage of the sunlight, right? And then if you need to do things at night, you just start a campfire. Or like if you need to eat late, like if you didn't get a chance to eat earlier, obviously you need a campfire. So, as an interactive activity for you guys, I need everyone to listen up. We're gonna simulate how to start a campfire real quick, just like 20 seconds of your time. So, everyone put your hands together and pretend like you have a pile of tinder. Do it right now. Do it right now. And just pick a spot on the ground where you're gonna start your campfire and just toss it in there. All right, next, we're gonna get our kindling, which is larger branches. That's gonna be the main fuel, right? Pretend like you're gathering your branches and throw it into your fire. Okay. Now, the last step would be your ignition source, which would be flint and steel. Now, some of us, I know I have a flint and steel kit in my house, so I'd be good. Like if electricity were to go out, but if you don't have that available, that's not something that you keep on hand. You can just use a knife and a hard dry rock, like the example. So let's start our fire, strike our rock. Good job, everyone. Okay, now what are some alternative forms of cooking? So obviously you need to gather your ingredients. So you need to learn how to hunt. Takes some skill, and you preferably want to do it with a bow because if you use a firearm, you're gonna have bullets in your meat. You also need to be good at chopping wood so that you have a good fuel source for your cooking fire. And you're gonna need to learn how to grow vegetables if you want to make cooking oils. If you're not gonna be using animal fats, also for your ingredients as well. Um, and just a quick note: the American Veterinary and Medical Association states to always cook meat until juices run clear and the meat is no longer pink in color. This requires 150 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and you cannot depend on color as a primary indicator. Okay. Now, what are some alternative forms of transportation? So, the best alternative form would be a horse. Now, we have bikes and stuff available to us now, so we would be able to use those for a while we learn to tame horses. But the thing about bikes is like if you get a flat tire and you don't have a manual pump, it's not going to be very useful. Another thing they're made out of metal, so they do get rusty. So I don't know how long it lasts you a couple years, but if your situation doesn't change by then, electricity doesn't return, you're gonna have to learn how to mount a horse. You're gonna have to learn how to tame the horse before you mount it, obviously. And just a quick fact about horses. According to Colin Vogel's Complete Horse Care Manual from 2011, he writes, the average riding horse is 6 times heavier than an average human, so you cannot dominate it with strength. The horse must do what you ask because it wants to, or because it expects it to, not because it's afraid of you. So that is how surviving without electricity would require significant adjustment to your lifestyle for lighting, cooking, and transportation. These are my references. Thank you guys for listening.